Discover the miraculous power of faith in Hebrews 11, unveiling incredible transformations in God's promises. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, when darkness seemed to cloak the hearts of the people, the mighty hand of God was poised to weave a tapestry of faith through the ages, drawing together the lives of Abel, Noah, Abraham, and Sarah. In the ancient land of Canaan, hills and valleys bore witness to the profound truth of Yahweh's covenant, echoing the devotion of those who walked the path of righteousness. Amidst this sacred backdrop, the young shepherd Abel offered the first fruits of his flocks to Yahweh, his heart reverberating with a love that demanded joyful sacrifice. His lamb, pure and unblemished, became a symbol of his unwavering devotion and his adherence to the divine call. Yet, as his offerings ascended like sweet incense to the heavens, the world around him held a mirror of scorn, casting doubt and derision upon his faith, a trial that would echo throughout history. Centuries later, in a world rife with sin, arose Noah, a carpenter fortified by faith. The taunts of those who scorned God did not sway him as he painstakingly crafted the magnificent ark, a vessel of salvation, his life resounding with faith amidst floods of disbelief. Each hammer strike resonated with divine purpose, each timber embraced the promises of rescue that transcended his immediate circumstances. As the storm clouds gathered, a glimmer of hope remained anchored in Noah's heart, for he knew that he walked hand in hand with God. Not long after, the call of God beckoned Abraham, the wanderer, to rise from the land of his fathers. The command was clear: a journey into the unknown. With Sarah, his beloved wife, beside him, they ventured forth, fueled by faith that defied the limits of human understanding. "Leave everything behind," Yahweh promised, "and I will make you a father of nations." The tension of this divine declaration twisted in their hearts, a promise that seemed far removed from their barren reality. Yet, this uncertainty did not deter their steps, it only ignited their conviction to trust in the unseen. As the years turned beneath the weight of silence, Sarah wrestled with grief and doubt, her dreams of motherhood seeming to fade like a mirage in the desert sun. Yet, the moment of divine intervention arrived. Laughter, a laugh not of despair, but of joy, filled their tent when angels proclaimed the birth of Isaac. In that moment, faith was rekindled, flourishing into a legacy that would stand as testament to God's unwavering faithfulness amid human doubt. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the first-century believers recalled these legacies, they found themselves on the precipice of their own challenges, fueled by the faith of those who came before. They saw each trial as an echo of the past, reminders to keep their gaze fixed upon God's enduring promises, steadfast like an anchor during the fiercest storms. What unimaginable interconnectedness lay hidden beneath these bustling lives! The dawn of their salvation awaited just beyond the horizon. Little did they understand, their struggles and unwavering faith echoed through the corridors of time, eternally woven into the great narrative of divine redemption. As time unfolded, the story of Isaac, born of promise, began to take shape within the tapestry of God's divine purpose. The laughter that erupted from the tent heralded not just a joyous arrival, but a covenantal legacy stretching far beyond the borders of their understanding. Isaac grew in strength and wisdom, the child of laughter himself, embodying the sweet promises of Yahweh. With each passing season, the devotion of his parents, Abraham and Sarah, was etched deeper into his heart. He watched as sacrifice and faith intermingled beneath the vast canopy of stars, where the voice of God often whispered, guiding them gently through shadows and light. Yet, in the heart of Abraham, there lingered a divine tension, a call to surrender that would soon test the very fabric of his faith. The Lord spoke, saying, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I will show you." Genesis 22 verse 2, Abraham's heart quaked at the command, an unfathomable test of trust resting heavily on his shoulders. He withdrew into the quiet of the morning, the rising sun dispelling the darkness that loomed around him. How could the God who promised countless descendants through Isaac now demand his very life? Yet, with resolute faith, Abraham rose early, gathering wood, fire, and a knife, obeying the divine decree that rang with echoes of sacrifice. In silence, he led Isaac toward the mountain, the weight of his decision swirling around them like a tempest. As they ascended, Isaac, curious and tender-hearted, turned to his father, questioning, "My father, where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Genesis 22 verse 7, the answer fell from Abraham's lips, layered with faith and anguish, "God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." Genesis 22 verse 8, in that moment, it was as if the heavens held their breath, witnessing a drama both heart-wrenching and divine. Upon reaching the summit, Abraham built an altar, placing the wood in order, trembling hands seeking a firm foundation for what lay ahead. As his heart raced, he bound Isaac and laid him upon the altar, revealing the depths of trust against a backdrop of impending despair. With the knife raised, the air became a thick veil of divine anticipation, as heaven paused, captivated by this monumental act of faith. Then the voice of the Lord pierced through the stillness, "Abraham, Abraham." Genesis 22 verse 11, the urgency in God's tone reverberated in the depths of Father Abraham's soul. Trembling, he answered, "Here I am." In that instant, God revealed a ram caught in the thicket, the divine provision that spared Isaac. Abraham's relief burst forth like waters from a dam, for he recognized the immeasurable depth of God's provision and plans fulfilled. "The Lord will provide," he named the place, a legacy etched in time, honoring the moment faith intertwined with divine protection. Yet, unbeknownst to the father and son, this profound act was but a shadow of foretelling of greater sacrifice to come, weaving the threads of redemption through generations yet to be born. As the dust settled upon that holy ground, unseen realms stirred, echoing with the promise of the coming one who would bear the sins of many. Little did Abraham and Isaac know, the essence of faith displayed upon that altar performed a work far grander than their immediate understanding, a covenant renewed, a prophetic whisper cascading forth into eternity. The stage was set, the world awaited. What deeper mysteries awaited in the stories of faith to be revealed? After the divine encounter on Mount Moriah, the air thickened with both relief and reverence as Abraham unbound Isaac, their hearts forever altered by God's provision. Embracing his son tightly, a flood of emotion coursed through him, laughter mingled with tears of gratitude. They descended the mountain not only as father and son, but as bearers of faith forged in the crucible of divine testing. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the plains of Moriah, Abraham marveled at the depth of the covenantal promise that had become illuminated anew that day. The Lord had not only spared Isaac, he had intricately woven the narrative of their lives into the grand tapestry of redemption. What future awaited them? In the days that followed, God spoke again to Abraham, saying, "By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you." Genesis 22 verses 16 to 17. The promise rang eternal, a pledge of multiplied descendants as numerous as the stars and the sands of the earth. Abraham stood, heart quickening in the realization of a lineage that would echo across generations, for through Isaac, the world's salvation was already unfolding. Meanwhile, in the tent, Sarah waited with bated breath, her heart attuned to the divine rhythm of her beloved. When Abraham finally returned, holding Isaac close, a smile broke forth on her face, illuminating the dimness that surrounded the nest of their family. "What has the Lord spoken?" she implored, her voice both anxious and affectionate. "We met God," Abraham responded, recounting the solemn duty he had embraced and the miraculous intervention that followed. And as he spoke of the ram, caught by its horns in the thicket, Sarah's eyes widened with wonder. "Truly, the Lord has provided for us." Their family grew, both in number and in faith. Sarah bore other children, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua, blessed with the flowing river of life, each child a part of the great promise unfolding, Genesis 25 verses 1-4. But amid joyful celebrations, shadows lingered. The heart that had been burdened by doubt and fear would now grapple with the weight of legacy and its implications. As Isaac matured, he began to understand the sacred history of his birth and the harrowing test through which his father had passed. The laughter that had once filled the tents morphed into deep contemplation, synapses igniting between joy and the weight of expectation upon his shoulders. What was the measure of this inheritance, and what leaps of faith awaited him? God surrounded Isaac with intimate encounters. One day, as he wandered into the fields at dusk, Isaac found himself lost in the stillness, wrestling with the echoes of the covenant. In that sacred hour, the Lord spoke to him, saying, "I am the God of Abraham your father, fear not, for I am with you and will bless you and multiply your offspring for my servant Abraham's sake." Genesis 26 verse 24. Isaac, fortified by these words, felt a divine spark ignite within him. A legacy his father had imparted now rested firmly on his shoulders. What destiny awaited him? Would he carry forth this promise into the unknown, weaving the same threads of trust and sacrifice that his father had exemplified? Each choice before him fluttered like pages of an unwritten story laden with divine appointments. But little did they know, the path to redemption would not come without trials, and the years ahead would unveil deeper mysteries of God's grand design, a plan echoing through not just this lineage, but touching every nation under heaven. The foundation of faith had been set, but in what wondrous ways would it blossom next? The realization began to dawn: the story was far from over, indeed, it was just beginning. In the days that followed, the dust of Moriah settled, but the weight of God's promise lingered in the hearts of Abraham and Isaac. As the sun rose anew, casting its warm light upon their home, Abraham pondered deeply what would God ask of him next. He felt the weight of his covenant and knew the call to walk in faith was not just for him but also for Isaac, his beloved son. Isaac sought to understand his purpose. With each passing day, he engaged in the daily rhythms of harvest and offering, nurturing the land that had been promised to him. Yet within him stirred questions, for the air was thick with unspoken fears. What would he become in the unfolding of this divine narrative? He often stood by the well in the afternoons, drawing water and reflecting on the promise bestowed upon him. "Lord, how will these things come to pass?" he would whisper, his voice barely above the rustling leaves. In the fields, as twilight painted the sky, the Lord met him again. "Isaac, I have chosen you," God spoke, his voice tender yet resounding. "You are the bearer of blessings not just for your family but for nations. Whatever you face, know that I will be with you, as I was with your father." And in that moment, Isaac's heart swelled with a mixture of courage and trepidation, for he understood, God was not merely a memory of Abraham's past, he was a living, breathing promise for his future. Indeed, as the seasons turned, strife brewed in the world around them. The laughter within their tent was soon overshadowed by the conflict of neighboring tribes, whose eyes were cast on the riches of the land God had granted to Abraham and his family. "We must not fear, Isaac," Abraham would say as they surveyed their diminishing pastures. "This land is ours not by force, but by covenant." But tension grew, and with it, Isaac's resolve was tested. One day, as he prayed in the stillness of the night, the spirit of dismay whispered doubts about his heritage. "What if my children do not see the promise? What if they stray from the path laid before us?" The haunting thoughts enveloped him until God's voice pierced through once more. "I am the God of your father and you are my beloved. As the stars are beyond numbers, so too shall you be. Trust me." With renewed faith, Isaac rose, determined to stand firm. Yet the materialization of God's promise was often clouded by the choices surrounding him. Laws and customs of the land became shackles for some. The laughter of his siblings grew faint in the distance. He realized there were many who would doubt and many who would seek to sow discord among the family. "Isaac." A voice pierced his thoughts one evening as he sat alone under the stars. It was Rebekah, a woman of beauty and grace who had woven her way into his life. Will you stand in the face of trials as your father did? Will you lead us through the storms? In her eyes, he saw a reflection of the promise, a partner for the journey ahead. Isaac clasped her hands as the heavens illuminated around them. Yes, with the Lord as my guide, I will not waver for the sake of our children or our lineage. The promise will be fulfilled. Yet unbeknownst to them, the winds were shifting, and beyond the horizon loomed a greater trial, a test that would echo in the annals of their existence. For in Jericho, a city fortified not by walls alone, the heart of God's sovereign plan was beginning to unfold. What lay ahead would be a manifestation of faith triumphant, a crescendo in the symphony of destiny that God had masterfully orchestrated for his people. As Isaac gazed into the endless night sky, his spirit sensed the divine tension mounting. What revelation awaits us, O Lord? He pondered, longing for greater understanding. Little did he know, the unfolding of their heritage was only the beginning of a story that would intertwine with futures yet unseen and destinies yet unfulfilled. The journey was far from over, it was but a mere glimpse of God's grand design. In the days that followed, Isaac became a man in whom the promise of God flourished, yet in his heart, an ever-deepening resolve emerged, a calling to not only be a steward of the land but of the covenant itself. The peace of the family camp was often disturbed by the whispers of discontent among the herdsmen, as well as the stirring winds of conflict from neighboring tribes. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, Isaac gathered his family to speak. The weight of the moment held heaviness in the air. "Speak, my brethren," he said, his voice steady yet tender, "for together we must navigate the trials ahead. The Lord has blessed us with this land, yet he has charged us to watch over it diligently." Rebekah sat by his side, her presence a steady beacon amidst the shadows that loomed. Abraham's old servant, Eliezer, an experienced guide and confidant, stepped forward, his face lined with wisdom gained through the years. "The tribes around us covet what we possess, Isaac. Our resolve must remain unshaken. The God of Abraham stands with us, as he did at Moriah. We must remind them of the covenant." Soon after, Isaac led a gatherer's feast to honor God for his provisions. Cousins and friends came from afar, bringing with them tales of distant lands and the challenges they faced. They spoke of giants and skirmishes, they spoke of faith of their ancestors, igniting something deep within Isaac. As the night deepened, he felt the call to demonstrate that same faith, that they may be examples to their children, standing strong against whatever may come. And so it was, under the celestial expanse, that hope ignited within him anew. "We shall not falter," he declared, the firelight dancing on his face. "If God is for us, who can be against us?" The people responded with a hearty amen. While Rebekah's eyes sparkled with admiration, a gentle strength radiating from her. Days turned into weeks, and as the tension in the land surrounding them escalated, the tribes drew nearer, demanding recognition and tribute for what they perceived as their rights over the fertile fields of Canaan. Isaac's heart sank, for he knew the ensuing discord could lead to violence against his family. Yet in the quiet hours of contemplation, he sought God's guidance. "Lord, grant me wisdom," Isaac prayed fervently one night, feeling the weight of impending conflict. The quietness that surrounded him seemed amplified as he listened for a response. "Reveal to me your path," he urged, feeling a blend of fear and anticipation. It was then that God spoke softly, enveloping Isaac in peace. "Fear not, Isaac. Just as I have been with your father, I am with you. My promise shall endure, and the land shall be yours, overflowing into generations. You need only trust in me." Renewed faith surged through him, and with morning light, Isaac gathered his family once more, prepared to face the uncertain tide. They were met with a delegation of foreign chiefs who arrived, boasting pride in their numbers and demands. With courage, Isaac stepped forth, acknowledging their rank yet proclaiming the truth of his lineage. "I am a son of Abraham by covenant, this land belongs to us." A hush fell upon the gathering as the weight of his words hung in the air, setting the stage for a potential confrontation. And just as doubt threatened to sway those watching, the Spirit of the Lord stirred among them, and Isaac's conviction became a proclamation of faith. "Is it not written," he urged them, "that all nations shall be blessed through Abraham? Turn away from your greed and witness the abundance provided, for he will pour out blessings upon those who seek peace." The murmurs that rippled through the assembly began to shift. The murmurs of discontent transformed into hushed whispers of contemplation. Unbeknownst to them, a flicker of divine transformation had ignited that day. The foundation of Isaac's legacy was being laid in faith, a legacy that would echo through ages as a testament to what the Lord could accomplish through an obedient heart. Yet, as peace lingered precariously on the horizon, the winds of change were still raging from afar. Beyond the city walls of Jericho, the heart of God's sovereign plan beat stronger with each passing moment. For even now, the foundations of a great destiny awaited Isaac's lineage, a story woven in every strand of God's design. What twist divine would soon come to unfold for those who would dare to trust? The answer loomed just beyond the edges of their understanding. After Isaac's bold declaration had echoed through the valley, the foreign chiefs stood unmoving, their faces marked by rising uncertainty. Yet, in their hearts, seeds of contemplation were being sown. Isaac watched as the tension simmered, and he raised his hands. "You have come in might, but we stand by the faithful God who guided our father Abraham. Let not pride blind you to his provision." The eldest among the chiefs, a man named Abimelech, narrowed his eyes at Isaac, his brow furrowed. "Is it not a custom for those who dwell in these lands to pay tribute? Your people are growing like the stars above, yet we are sworn to the ancient ways of the earth." Isaac felt the weight of Abimelech's words pressing against his spirit. He glanced around at his family, seeing the uncertainty mirrored in their eyes. "By the grace of the Almighty, our presence does not diminish yours. The promise given to Abraham was for us to be a blessing, to be fruitful and multiply in this land. We seek not conflict but harmony." As Isaac spoke, he sensed an invisible thread uniting him to his ancestors, the very covenant that connected generations. He took a step closer, feeling emboldened. "You need not challenge us, God's blessing is open to all who seek him. Will you not be partakers of that blessing?" This time, a flicker of doubt illuminated Abimelech's features. "And what do you propose, son of Abraham?" he asked, a hint of curiosity woven within his skepticism. Isaac paused, letting the question hang for a moment under the vast open sky. "Let us forge an alliance formed in the bonds of peace. We can share the land, allowing our herds to flourish together, and in this way, may the blessings overflow for everyone." The murmurs around the assembly shifted again, this time more fervently. Eyes exchanged glances that held the weight of decision. Abimelech, swayed by Isaac's gentle strength, spoke with newfound authority. "If we are to trust in your words, then let it be known, come tomorrow, we shall meet again. Bring forth the resolution you seek, and let all know of the covenant we secure today." As the foreign chiefs retreated, the air hung thick with both hope and tension. Isaac returned to his family, a mixture of anxiety and anticipation filling his heart. "We have spoken words of great weight, family. We must pray for favor and guidance from the Almighty." That night, as the stars twinkled like diamonds across a vast tapestry, Isaac found himself at the edge of his tent, alone with his thoughts. He raised his hands in prayer, beseeching the Lord. "O God, of Abraham and my father Isaac, I seek your wisdom. Guide my path, and show us the way to bring forth reconciliation amidst uncertainty." In the stillness, God's presence enveloped him, a comforting embrace. "Isaac, fear not. Look back upon the stones that mark your father's journey and remember the blessings I have bestowed. Your faith will be your shield, the covenant remains, no matter the trials of your day." Isaac felt renewed strength surge within him. Morning would come, bringing new challenges, but along with it, the possibility of a covenant that would reshape his destiny. The next day, as dawn broke, spilling golden light across the landscape, Isaac prepared to meet the chiefs once more. His family gathered, hearts knitted together in a prayer of unity. Rebekah grasped his hand, her eyes radiating tranquility. "Let us walk forward with faith, for God is our fortress," she murmured. Isaac nodded, the resolve deepening in him. They approached the gathering where Abimelech awaited, tension thickening the air. Isaac opened his mouth to speak but was interrupted as a distant cry echoed through the valley, a sound that would set their fate into motion, reverberating through the ages. In that moment, a realization dawned upon Isaac. Beyond political disputes, divine destiny spun its intricate web. For the day was not merely steeped in human dealings but woven into the very essence of God's enduring promise. What was about to unfold would mark the trajectory of not just Isaac's household but echo in the annals of history, whispering the revelation of God's grand plan that was yet to be fully understood. Would they embrace the transformative power of faith that had fortified their lineage, or would doubt lead them astray? The answer, now closer than ever, loomed just ahead on the road of providence, waiting to be unveiled. As the sun rose higher, casting a warm glow upon the assembled chiefs and their followers, Isaac felt the weight of anticipation settle heavily upon his shoulders. With the eyes of both his family and the chiefs upon him, he stood resolute, embodying the tenacity of his forebear Abraham. He could feel the heaviness of history layered upon this moment, like the curling edges of an ancient scroll waiting to be unfurled. Abimelech stepped forward, his presence commanding. "Son of Abraham, we have deliberated through the night," he began. "Your words yesterday stirred something within us. You speak of blessings and peace, yet in the heart of every man resides the fear of loss. How shall we trust one another?" Isaac replied without hesitation, "Let our first act be a sign of goodwill. We shall offer a feast, a shared meal to signify the bonds we seek to forge. Let us celebrate our unity and declare an end to suspicion. In sharing bread, we fulfill the command of the Lord to love our neighbor as ourselves." The murmurs of the chiefs coaxed forth agreement, yet in their eyes flickered remnants of doubt. Isaac could sense it. This was a fragile moment, teetering precariously on the precipice of faith and fear. "Do not let fear seize your hearts," he urged, his voice firm but gentle. "We are called to be peacemakers. The Lord has a purpose for us that transcends our understanding. Recall the covenant made with our ancestor Abraham. This day we begin to walk in that promise." Abimelech remained silent, eyes shaded by the shadow of vulnerability. Nevertheless, he saw a sincerity in Isaac that spoke to depths of his own spirit. "Let it be as you say," he finally proclaimed, a solemn nod accompanying his words. "Tomorrow, we shall gather as one people, around one table." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a cloak of twilight over the encamped throng, Isaac returned to his family feeling the fresh breath of hope. "This is not merely a feast," he shared, his voice filled with quiet conviction. "This is a divine calling, an act of faith set against a backdrop of uncertainty." Rebecca's hand tightened around his. "May the Lord bless this endeavor, Isaac. If it is His will, let our hearts remain unwavering, filled with hope under His mighty hand." That night, as Isaac knelt to speak with God once more, the air was thick with anticipation. "Lord, O great God of Israel, be with us. Grant us wisdom and a spirit of unity as we approach this day of sharing. Let your will be manifest in our hearts and the hearts of our neighbors." In response, Isaac felt a divine whisper slumbering in the quiet of the night, a promise deeper than any could fathom. "Isaac, you have called forth a gathering that will bear fruit beyond your time. Through this alliance, nations will come to know the name of the Lord. Remain steadfast in your faith." With the dawn's early light, the sounds of preparation erupted around the encampment. The scent of bread baking and meats roasting mingled with the fresh morning air, drawing forth hungry hearts eager to partake in the covenant of unity. As the gathered men set places under the ancient oaks, barriers of mistrust began to fall away. The tables, spread with offerings from both Isaac's household and Abimelech's people, became symbols of shared blessings and hope. Laughter began to fill the space where silence had once taken residence, and the winds of peace breathed life into every soul present. Yet, far beyond the immediate joy of that table, a more profound reality loomed unseen. For God's promise was tightly woven within the hearts of those gathered, preparing to unveil an unprecedented chapter in the lives of Isaac's descendants. This would be no ordinary meal, it was the water springing forth in the wilderness, an oasis of divine intervention. In the midst of the celebration, arose a question that hung in the air: would they recognize the moment of divine visitation? Would they embrace the opportunity offered by the Almighty, or would they turn a blind eye, allowing doubt to curtain the view of His sovereign plan? What they were unknowingly entwined in was a visitation from the Lord, a divine orchestration, echoing His profound promise that forged the path toward an unimaginable future. The stage was set. The revelation of right relationship and covenantal promise awaited just beyond the meal shared. The next chapter whispered a truth that would resonate through generations. As the sun rose fully upon the horizon, casting its radiant glory upon those gathered, Isaac stood at the head of the table, his heart awash with gratitude. The eager faces of the chiefs glowed with anticipation, just as the daybreak illuminated the land. "Brothers, we honor the presence of the Lord among us," he began, his voice steady yet reverberating with the excitement of the moment. "Let us give thanks for the abundance He provides and for the bonds we are about to forge with one another." With that, Isaac lifted his hands, and the gathered chiefs followed suit, powerful leaders turning toward the heavens. In unison, they offered a prayer of gratitude, acknowledging the One who had blessed them from generations past. "O God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob," they called, "may your presence dwell among us today as we feast upon your goodness." The meal commenced, and as they broke bread, the atmosphere shifted. It resonated with faith, lifting spirits higher than the ancient oaks around them. Isaac saw Rebekah share a laugh with the wives of the chiefs, their children playing innocently together under the wide expanse of the sky. It was as if barriers built from years of strife were dissolving with every shared morsel. Yet, hidden within this tapestry of unity, a weighty mystery lingered, for God's hand was tirelessly working beyond the visible. Unbeknownst to the gathering, within the souls of the men, a conflict would soon arise, ignited by the empowerment of the Spirit that dwelt within them. Even as laughter filled the air, Abimelech's brow tightened with unspoken worries. "Isaac," he interjected gently after the feasting had settled, "if we are truly to walk as one people, then what shall bind us together beyond this moment? What covenant shall we establish?" His inquiry dripped with a sober realization that the roots of trust require deep planting. Isaac considered this profoundly, realizing that merely sharing bread would not suffuse their hearts with lasting peace. "Great Chief," he replied, the wisdom of his fathers guiding his words. "Let us swear an oath this day. A covenant binding our families and our people, just as the Lord promised to Abraham, that we might dwell in favor and have fruitful lives together. For the Lord desires us to reflect His love and provision to the world." Abimelech nodded thoughtfully. "Then let us speak our intentions aloud, pledging before our families and before God." Thus, they stood, mighty men of valor, clothed in righteousness, as each pledged their promise of fidelity and peace. They vowed to protect one another, to share in each other's joys and woes, invoking the name of the Almighty upon their agreement. As their words hung in the air, Isaac sensed a profound movement within the gathering, a divine stirring that bristled against the ache of the past. Would this shift be for Joshua and Caleb, a new generation poised for promise, or perhaps for Isaac's heirs to carry through valleys, across mountains? But deep in the heart of Isaac, a more intense realization was unfolding. He felt the weight of the ancestral command, that through these bonds, the nations would come to know the name of the Lord. The vision unveiled itself through this humble yet powerful union. Generations would rise, called to embody a redemptive narrative. "Let us seal this covenant with a sign," Isaac proposed, drawing the eyes of the assembly to his own son, Jacob, who had been watching silently. "For it will be through our children that the promise flourishes." But the mystery intensified. Behind Isaac's joyful vision loomed shadows cast by the sovereignty of God. What trials awaited this new alliance? Would the darkness of doubt threaten to subvert the beauty of this covenant? Indeed, the bonds of unity had begun to form, yet unseen challenges would rise, testing faith pure and true. What would the Lord's plan reveal through these coming tribulations? In this moment of unity, Isaac's heart swelled with hope while uncertainty flickered at the edges, aware that the path ahead was paved both by promise and trial. As such, the question remained, how would they endure when faced with the storms to come, and would their faith prevail to greet what God had in store? The tapestry of their lives, woven by divine intent, had only just begun to unfurl. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows over the land, a deep stillness enveloped the gathered men. Isaac, sensing the weight of what they had pledged, took his son Jacob by the hand, drawing him forward as the earth breathed in the evening air, pregnant with expectation. "Son, it is our time to set forth the promise laid upon us by our forefathers," Isaac proclaimed, his voice a clarion call breaking the gathering's reverie. "You shall be the heir of this covenant, a light amidst the nations, and a vessel through which the Lord shall bless many." Jacob, though young, felt the gravity of his father's words. "My father, what shall I do to uphold this oath? What is required of me?" The eagerness and uncertainty in his voice revealed an inner turmoil, for he understood that such responsibilities weighed heavily upon those chosen by God. Isaac looked deep into his son's eyes, seeing in them the reflection of his own youthful spirit. "You must walk with integrity and fear the Lord, seeking his wisdom in every decision. Remember the covenant made here today, for it is the bond that ties us to the eternal promise." At this, the chiefs shared glances, feeling the call to duty rising within their own hearts. They began to murmur words of determination, reaffirming their commitment to Isaac's command, each one feeling a spark igniting in their spirit. Then an elder, Jethro, raised his voice, rich with years of experience. "May our children not only share in our bond, but may they also hold the faith of our fathers. Let them see the Lord's hand moving in our midst, and let their hearts be filled with awe as they witness our trust in him." The others nodded solemnly, for each chief understood the importance of nurturing a faith that would endure beyond their own generations. With that resolve, they began to speak of their children, pledging to teach them the ways of the Lord, to share the stories of Abraham, of Isaac, and of the miracles wrought in their lives. As the shadows lengthened, an unspoken tension began to thread its way among the leaders. Unbeknownst to them, the divine purpose seemed poised at the edge of fulfillment, for as it had been recorded in Psalm 115, "Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but to your name give glory." Each commitment made, each oath sworn, would soon face trials that would reveal the strength of their faith. In the midst of this fervor, however, as twilight fell and the stars flickered into existence, a still small voice broke through the atmosphere, the very breath of God whispering of both wonders and woes to come. Isaac felt a stirring in his spirit, sensing that while unity had been forged, divisions were also forming within the hearts of men. "Beware," he murmured, almost to himself, "for a test is coming upon us, a challenge that shall reveal our true selves." The chiefs fell silent, pondering his words, sensing the foreboding that tugged at their hearts. Isaac continued, "Though we stand together now, the days ahead shall demand that we remain steadfast, for the Lord will bring forth opportunities for his glory, through trials that will shake us to our very core." And so it was that as they concluded their gathering, the peace of the evening gave way to an awareness of the shadows that loomed. One chief, with a voice heavy with insight, spoke, "And when the waters rise, and we are faced with the unknown, will our faith hold strong?" At that, Isaac turned anew to Jacob, his heart both tender and firm. "Remember always, my son, the words of the Lord through Isaiah. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you." With hearts entwined by divine purpose, they departed, the air thick with anticipation of trials yet unseen. And as the night deepened, the promise whispered softly, a new dawn would break. But lo, even amidst their unity, there lay a question echoing like a haunting refrain: what would become of this covenant in the face of adversity? How would they remain unbroken, when the very fabric of their unity might be tested against the fire? The God who reigns was orchestrating a plan that would soon unfold, revealing the tapestry of destiny woven through faithfulness and struggle. As dawn broke over the horizon, a gentle light illuminated Canaan's vast expanse, ushering in a new chapter fraught with promise yet shadowed by uncertainty. Isaac, weary yet resolute, woke before the sun, his mind alive with the weight of what lay ahead. He recalled the words spoken in zeal at the previous night's gathering, the fervent pledges made in the spirit of unity. But as the scriptures remind us, the fervor of our rhetoric shall face the fire of reality, and therein lay the heart of this unfolding covenant. It was then that the Lord visited Isaac once more, his presence like a soft breeze upon the air. Isaac, arise, for I have granted you a vision. The gathering of your household shall not only bear witness to peace but will stand a testimony against division. When shadow creeps and doubt tempts, remember that my promises remain steadfast. With each word, Isaac felt renewed strength invigorating his spirit. Lord, grant me clarity amidst the mist of uncertainty, he prayed, the rising sun casting long shadows behind him, a reminder that every new day brings both illumination and the possibility of lurking darkness. As the day progressed, the solemn discouragement he sensed among the people grew palpable. Unbeknownst to them, lurking within their encampment were not only spirits of unity but also hearts less inclined towards peace. The remnants of ancient rivalries and murmurs bent on sowing discord crept quietly among the tents, testing the very essence of their commitment. Isaac gathered his sons, Jacob and Esau, who had grown strong within their father's shadow. We cannot allow this covenant to dissolve like morning fog, Isaac implored, we must nurture faith and love. There will be storms ahead, but if we are united, we shall weather them together. Esau, his brow furrowed with concern, asked, but father, what wisdom shall be our guide when conflict arises? How do we mend the rifts born of fear? For in our history, we find comfort, my son, Isaac replied. Look at our father Abraham. He faced kings and separated from conflict through faith and resolve. We will lead the people by example, not through fear, but by the humility and strength of serving one another. And so they pledged, as a family, to draw the bonds of love tighter, to stand sentinel against the shadows, and to cultivate understanding in every heart. They became beacons to their people, rallying for peace amidst contention. Yet, deep within the community, discontent simmered. The chiefs' newfound alliance began to fray. Skeptics whispered temptation, recalling the histories of old that spoke of bloodlines and lashed tongues. Nonetheless, Isaac and his sons pressed forward, seeking to build bridges rather than walls. One fateful evening, amidst preparations for an upcoming feast meant to affirm their alliance with Abimelech's people, Isaac received word of trouble brewing beyond their encampments. Rival tribes had gathered at the borders of their promised land, their eyes set on the rich pastures, attempting to incite conflict. The hearts of his people quaked in apprehension. Isaac summoned the chiefs, weary but undeterred. Our kin are unsettled, he proclaimed, but is this not the moment we must reflect the covenant? Shall we concede to fear or rise as sons and daughters of promises? The chiefs nodded, recognizing the tremors of history echoing through their veins. Abimelech stared intently at Isaac, perspiration on his brow from the heat of the moment. We must not falter, he declared, but rather approach these adversaries with a heart willing to reconcile. It is time we demonstrate the blessings of our alliance. They strategized throughout the night, words and prayers weaving harmoniously. As the first light cresting the hills heralded the dawn, Isaac led a delegation toward their rivals. He stood boldly at the fore, flanked by his kin, strong with purpose yet cloaked in humility. Men of the land. Isaac called, his voice echoing across the fields. We seek not battle but dialogue, not conflict but community. The Lord's blessings hearken to a greater purpose than our fears. Join us. Let our herds graze together, let our children grow in friendship. An uneasy silence blanketed the gathering as the leaders of the rival tribes weighed their response. Initially skeptical, a young leader spoke, will you promise to share in the bounty? Can we trust in the words of Isaac, the son of Abraham? By God's covenant, we shall, Isaac affirmed. Peace is not merely the absence of strife but the presence of the Lord among us, guiding our every exchange. Let us weave our fates together, let adversity's flames refine us rather than consume. His words resonated through the ranks, and murmurs of agreement began to ripple. But as history had taught him, Isaac felt the tension still strung tightly in the air. The rival leader hesitated, his gaze conflicted. "If you are true to your word, then let us feast together, an offering rooted in sincerity." With faith as their anchor, both sides convened, sharing bread and laughter. It was a fragile truce set within the grand tapestry of God's promise. Isaac offered grateful prayers, aware no bond forged in unity could withstand without a fervent heart. Yet, in the darkened corners of the gathering, doubt shadowed the outcomes, and the fight against fear was far from over. For soon after their shared meal, a conflict erupted over lost cattle, an unfortunate twist seeking to unravel the hope sown just days before. The air thickened as voices rose, questioning loyalties and testing faith. Isaac, sensing the turmoil, called forth his sons and leaders. "Brothers, let us not forget the oaths we have sworn. Are we sons of Abraham only in prosperity? Shall we not walk together in our trials as well?" As they stood united, the rival chiefs heard the truth mingled in Isaac's passionate plea, and something softened within their hearts. Slowly, they turned from accusations to the root of the problem. "We shall not let anger writhe where unity has been offered," one spoke. "Let us contribute to the labor, make amends, and rejoice in our promise." Bit by bit, the remnants of discord gave way to discussions, and what once threatened chaos was transformed into edification. As stones were placed in covenant once more, Isaac recognized not merely a victory over heads but a victory for hearts. A divine revelation whispered quietly through their gathering. In the days that followed, a sense of unity flourished where doubt had sought to reside. A common purpose emerged, their hearts intertwined in unwavering faith, teaching future generations the essence of God's promise, a resilient legacy reframed in trials. The chapter of Isaac's covenant was penned not merely through shared blessings but also through the commitment to endure the storms. Their love transcended beyond borders, friendships blossomed amid shared struggles, faithfulness, a woven thread through their lives. As Isaac surveyed the bonds created, he felt the heartbeat of his father's legacy echo resoundingly through him. The fulfillment of promises stretched beyond immediate decisions and echoed the beauty of a sovereign design, a glimpse into the greater narrative unfolding through faith. And so, friends, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue upon the land, let us remind one another of the covenant of faith we hold dearly. The legacy we sustain is not confined to our past nor our present trials, but is rooted in the glorious hope of the future. And now, as we conclude this steadfast journey through Isaac's tale, I urge you to embrace God's promises, share in the richness of His word, and extend the call to everyone around you. If this message has touched your heart, you need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's word and the amazing narratives that shape our faith. Leave a like now to help spread God's truth through the algorithm, and let your friends partake in these blessings as you share this powerful testimony with at least 5 people who need to hear His divine guidance. Your comments enrich our discussions. Please share your spiritual reflections on this journey, and let us celebrate the unfolding promises together. Do not wait even one more second. Take action now to impact lives for Christ.